What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Airplane. So this was a first time watch for me. That probably sounds crazy. I know this movie's a classic, but what are you going to do? I can't watch every movie. I got a lot of really important stuff to do, like I'm trying to start a Fortune 500 company out of my garage. I'm trying to, one day purchase a Lamborghini. I'm trying to get this guap. So, even though I would like to see every movie ever made, sometimes, it's hard to get these movies watched. I'm doing my big business type stuff, so I don't know. But anyways, never seen Airplane. I'm familiar with it. I know it's a classic, and I'm familiar with like a lot of the quotable, memorable lines. So yeah, after watching it for the first time, what do I think? I thought it was really good. I think this movie is worth the hype. It I can totally understand why it's so well regarded. It's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and yeah, I can see why it's regarded as a classic. So there you go. So basically, I'm gonna jump into a plot summary. So the movie it centers around this gentleman Ted and this woman Elaine, and basically Ted he's like an ex-fighter pilot. He was in the war. He has PTSD. He caused these other pilots to get killed, so he's scared of flying. And Elaine is a flight attendant, and basically she's kind of sick of his stuff. She's kind of fed up with him because he since he has PTSD, he's kind of just like living in the past, and he just can't get past the war. So Elaine, she's trying to like move on with her life, and she basically like ends things with Ted. And Ted, he's scrambling, so he like boards this flight that she's on, even though he's like deathly afraid of flying. So yeah, he boards this flight, and while they're on the flight, just all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Like, this is like a parody of disaster movies, so yeah, anything that can go wrong does go wrong. And like the main plot point is these people, they have, like, most people on the plane eat fish for dinner, and they get food poisoning. So like everyone is getting sick. Like, all the pilots get food poisoning. They're out of commission. So the plane is going to go down. Like, no one can fly the plane. So Ted, even though he's scared of flying, and he's like an ex-pilot and he has PTSD, he has to land the plane, which is, made even harder because he's never flown this type of plane before. So that is the basic plot summary. So yeah, I really liked the comedy in this, but I didn't, like, with some newer, more topical stuff. Like, I know what is being parodied. Like, okay, for example, the first Scary Movie, they're parodying Scream a lot. So like I get a lot of the more like in jokes. With this movie, I didn't really understand, like, like the movies that they're like, I didn't understand like a lot of the in jokes, because the movies that they're parodying are older. Like, it's a parody of this movie Zero Hour, which is quite a bit older. I've never seen that. And then it also like draws elements from this movie called Airport 75. So yeah, I didn't really know like the references and the winks and the nods to the movies that were being parodied. But I don't think that matters. I think, like the one movie Zero Hour, I'm pretty sure that was from like 1957. I'm not gonna lie in here. I mean, I don't really watch movies that are that old. I like 80s, 90s, stuff like that. But like movies from the 50s, you won't really catch me watching that. Like, I appreciate them, but you won't really catch me watching them. So yeah, like, I feel like this movie is great because you don't have to watch the movies that are being parodied by this movie in order to follow along or have a good time, or just like laugh your ass off. So pretty cool. And I feel like, honestly, you know, some of the humor in this, you know, it could definitely be argued that it's, you know, it wouldn't fly today, or it is offensive. But overall, for the most part, I feel like this movie is like pretty timeless. Like, yeah, there is definitely there is some offensive stuff. I'm not denying that, but like overall, like this movie is parodying stuff that's like way older, and it's like you don't feel lost. Like I feel like this movie is kind of timeless. Like I feel like it's still a classic. It still holds up. I feel like, you know, younger people today could watch it and they would think it's funny, and that's a good transition into my one of the points that I wanted to address. So like a lot of this, when I'm talking about like younger people could enjoy this, like it's weird. Like I mean like people like in their teens and 20s. But what's weird about the comedy in this is like the comedy is on like opposite sides of the spectrum, where it's like either very silly and lighthearted, like, you know, when the flight attendant, she's showing people how to, you know, pull the strap for the life jacket, or pull the string for the life jacket, and it's like a duck life jacket. Or like, you know, Leslie Nielsen's character, he's like lying to everyone, his like nose grows like Pinocchio. And then there's like this like inflatable pilot, when they like go into autopilot, it's an inflatable autopilot. So like a lot of the comedy is really lighthearted and silly, and it could like it would be funny to someone who's like really little, like some 8-year-old kid could find it funny. But then it goes like really far into like the dark humor, like the R-rated stuff, like the sex, the drugs, the there's some morbid dark humor in this. So I thought that was funny, just how it's like the humor is just like on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like I said, like it's just some stuff is like really silly, really goofy slapstick that like a 5-year-old could enjoy, but then some of this stuff is like dark. Like Ted, he's always telling his story to like people on the planes, and they think it's really depressing and they get bored. So this one older woman, like she's just, while she's listening, like after we see her, she just like unalives herself. And then there's this one instance where this gentleman, he's like drinking because the plane's going down. He like offers this older woman a drink, and she's like, no, I don't want to drink. Like she like scoffs at him, and then just immediately starts doing coke lines like off like a little mirror, like. And then there's this like sick kid who's on the plane. I believe the kid needs like a heart transplant, and there's this one instance where this one woman is like playing guitar and singing the song, and she accidentally like knocks the kid's IV off, and the little kid is basically like dying. So yeah, like I like the mix of like really lighthearted silly humor, and then some of the humor was just like dark. Like it was just like, yeah, this for sure is like a R-rated comedy. So I like that little mix. Something else that was cool about this movie is that like the pace of the jokes, like this movie was unrelenting. It did not let up. Like I feel like someone needs to do a count of like how many jokes per second are in this movie, because I feel like it was just non-stop joke after joke after joke after joke. But okay, that might seem like, oh, that you're gonna get fatigued, that's gonna be too much, it's gonna be too much, but like it wasn't. And pretty much there were pretty much like no groaners. Like all of the jokes pretty much hit. Like how do you have like a joke every 2 seconds and they're all actually pretty funny? Like I was laughing out loud. So yeah, the rate, it was like the equivalent of like sprinting a marathon, if that makes sense. I don't know if that analogy is good, but it's like there was a joke every 2 seconds, but then they kept it on for the whole movie, and they were all pretty much funny. So that was crazy. And it was a good mix too. You had like a lot of slapstick, a lot of physical comedy, like a lot of verbal comedy, verbal puns, running jokes. Good mix with the comedy. Like I said, good mix with the tones of the comedy, good mix with like the delivery and style of the comedy. All good. I really so when I think about this movie, I always think about Leslie Nielsen. Uh, he's pretty famous for this movie. He's famous for these type of movies in general. And I've seen him in like he was in for like my generation. He was in like superhero movie with Drake Bell. I gotta revisit that. I think the guy who plays Shooter McGavin is in that. I think he was the villain. That I remember that being good. But yeah, like Leslie Nielsen's in that. He's in quite a few of the scary movies, like Scary Movie 3. I've said this in multiple videos. I used to watch Scary Movie 3. I've probably seen like, I don't know, 30 times or something. Like my buddy and I, we used to just watch it over and over and over. And I'm like a big Simon Rex fan. Like Kevin Hart was really funny in that too. So, but like Leslie Nielsen was great. Like he just popped up at the end of that movie, and he was like so great. Like he's like meeting up with the aliens. They're like kicking each other in the balls and stuff, and the aliens like pissing out of his finger. And yeah, so Leslie Nielsen, he's like at this point, like nowadays, like he's known for this. Like he's an icon for these type of movies. Oh yeah, Naked Gun too. I haven't seen the first Naked Gun. I saw one of the sequels. It was like 2.5 or 33 1/3. I think I saw the 33 1/3 one. I remember like they were in like a cabin for part of it. I don't recall exactly, but yeah, I mean he's in countless iconic films, and I understand because I mean he was in. I feel like this might have like Airplane might have been the movie that really put him on the map for this, and I understand why. Like he has some of the most memorable lines. Like whenever I would think about this movie, I always heard about that line where he's like, "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." Like, I mean, this is my first time seeing the movie, but I've always known about that line. So yeah, he stole the show. He was fantastic. He didn't even come into the mix until I feel like at least halfway in, maybe even a little bit later. But like he didn't come in until later on in the movie, and he like totally stole the show. And there's something that I like about Leslie Nielsen is his style, his delivery. Like some comedic actors are more extra. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but someone like Jim Carrey or Kevin Hart, they're a little bit more animated. They're a little bit more energetic. Like Leslie Nielsen he's so chill. He's so like just natural. Like he doesn't have to. He's not doing like crazy faces, or he's not super animated with it. He's just like he's so like matter of fact and chill and just calm, and he's got that like deadpan delivery. I like that style, and I feel like that comedic style, if like certain comedic actors try to do it, they couldn't pull it off. But like he just like Leslie Nielsen, he just has that like effortlessness about his performance that it's just like it's just he's not even trying to be funny. Like he just I don't know, like he's just like natural, like he's probably like a naturally funny guy. But yeah, like that's like the vibe I get, like just like a very natural vibe. Like he's not trying too hard. Like he just comes through, doesn't have to put in too much effort, and he's just hilarious. So yeah, I really loved his character. He stole the show. And then the last thing that I want to mention is there's this character. His name was Steve McCroskey. I hope I'm saying that right. Maybe not. But there's this whole running joke where he's all stressed out, and then he's like, "Man, I picked the wrong week to quit drinking." And then like immediately he's just like taking a swig from like a big old bottle of liquor, and then it progressively gets worse with the substances. He's like, "Oh geez, man, I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines." Boom, starts popping pills. And then like the last thing, he's like, "Man, I picked the wrong week to quit huffing glue." And then he's huffing glue, and like after the fact, his hair's all crazy. He's like upside down. So that I really like that running joke. There was like a lot of funny running jokes, but like that that was like the funniest thing ever. Like, geez, I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Like, who says stuff like that? Like, that was awesome. But yeah, in terms of a recommendation, I would definitely recommend Airplane. I understand why it's a classic. I mean, this movie was hilarious. So, you know, yeah, it was hilarious, great performances. If you haven't seen Airplane, definitely check it out. Most people probably have. I probably just live under a rock, but I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's been my recommendation, and that has been my review of Airplane. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.